When it comes down to the fundamentals of an NFT project, there are some things that you want, and this project has absolutely everything. It's so good, I think I might need to change the lighting setup. Okay, that's better. Now the project that I'm talking about is Graycraft. Now I actually touched on this project in early December. At that point in time, the floor price is 0.08, 0.09 on the secondary sales, and the followers on Twitter about 7.5. Now they're currently sitting at around 11,000 on Twitter, and the floor price is sitting between 0.35, 0.4. Now what I mean by floor price is they've essentially got two collections. They've got a Genesis collection, then they've got Graycraft 2, and they've got the upcoming Graycraft 3. Now when I touched on this project previously, you can actually check out that video up here, was the fact that if you owned a Graycraft 2, you essentially were going to get a Graycraft 3. So the idea is that you were able to kind of buy into this ecosystem and then know that you're going to get one of these mints. Now the thing about Graycraft is that it's actually backed by a brand, which is Grey Inc. Now, the founder of Graycraft is Kevin. Now, Kevin, he's a Bored Ape holder. He's been in the space for ages. And the good thing about the Graycraft team and what they've got is they've actually got real world physical products. So they've done high-end luxury iPhone cases, AirPods cases, things like that. And the idea is they're taking that design language and that kind of aspect when it comes down to the real world business and translating that into the NFT. So what's crazy about this project is there's a real business behind it, and they don't want this to fail because this is an extension of their brand Grey. So with the idea of having the Graycraft and building this world around it, they're really dedicated on actually building this up correctly. Now, I covered this sort of like 2 months ago, and they're only starting to get to this point where they're releasing really high quality promos, high quality trailers. Now you can see some of these promos and trailers right here. They're going absolutely hard. They're doing exactly what needs to be done. Their animations, the detail, the skill in what's actually being executed is next level. And what I like about this is if you actually have a deep look into the people that are actually holding Graycraft 2s and the original Graycrafts, these are heavy hitters, big people in the space, because Graycraft has been around for a while, and it's this kind of sleeper project. And it's this project that whenever I speak to anyone about, once they actually do a deep dive into it, they go, oh, they can really see what it is. The reason that this video most likely won't blow up because it's not the next 100x project, but if you actually pay attention and actually sort of do some poking around and see who the founders are, who the people that follow Graycraft are, who are the people that kind of follow Kevin, and who are the people that actually own this and are in these circles, you'll realize that you're sitting on a mad sleeper of an NFT. Now, the reason that I feel like the original Graycraft, the Genesis Graycraft and the Graycraft 2 didn't take off and get as much heat as other projects is the fact that it wasn't a profile picture project, because people do identify with a profile picture because of like the personification, they can kind of see themselves in it. And the reason that I think the promos and all this heat is going off when it comes down to Graycraft 3, the upcoming drop, is the fact that it's a mech and it's this personified version of the design language when it comes down to Graycraft. Now, at the start of the video, I talked about the fundamentals. The reason that I'm so bullish on the fundamentals is that they're trying to build a really strong, solid community. The people that are within Graycraft are in Graycraft. And when you see another Graycraft holder, there is a sort of an acknowledgement of the fact that, hey, they're on my team. They know about something that is gonna hit, that is just really good. That's why the community building is done really well. And big shout out to Chris. I've been talking to Chris and he's been kind of giving me some information. I'm actually building a relationship with these people over a longer period of time. So big shout out, Chris. And the idea that the community foundation is so strong that people don't want to sort of leave Graycraft. Once they're in it, they're kind of in it. And I also think the other foundation, when it comes down to the founder aspect, the fact that Kevin is a big heavy hitter in the space and he's got an established business background as well, that is another tick and another green box. It's not a sort of 15 or 16-year-old getting some art made up on Fiverr and then just trying to flip it and like try to pump it and run it up. We're talking about a person that has an established business that's actually done some good work and using that design language, using that technology to then infuse it into what the NFT space, that they're actually heavy and deep involved. The fact is that Kevin's within the NFT space, and he's got friends and peers that are within the NFT space that holds some crazy weight. Now, the other fundamental is the track record. The fact that they've released one version, which is the Genesis collection, they've released a second version, and they're about to release the third. Now, I'm super bullish on projects that don't just release the 10K straight away, that they release step after step to kind of build that momentum, build the brand. And the idea with Graycraft is they're building this brand, so when it comes to Graycraft 3, which is the MEX, it's going to actually hit, and it's going to hit stronger and more powerful than if they just did a run up and a launch. Now, the reason that I think this is particularly important is that when you have a very hyped project, there will be some crazy gains made, but usually a project will have a hard time trying to live up to the expectation that the hype has built. With something like this project, they're building this up at a steady pace so that whatever they deliver, they're going to over-deliver on their promises. So the idea that they're kind of building up this brand drop after drop, and it's kind of building up, means that people that are in this are usually sucked into their ecosystem. They're stronger holders, and they can see this for the longer term. The reason why this is a great strategy for a release, but also why it makes me bullish on the community and the project longer term, is that if you don't have the ability to buy into a project and hold it for 3 months on the lead up for what is possibly another drop, you're then not going to be holding long term. The people that are in this project that are buying in, that are holding longer term, are the people that are going to hold this for a year or two to come. And when you get a solid subset of holders, you're then going to have a solid floor price that will reflect that over time. Because when you have a look at the Genesis floor price, it's sitting at almost 5 ETH. And then the fact that we're kind of going to the second round collection is almost sitting at 0.4 ETH gives you an indication that with Graycraft 3, it's going to outperform the floor price because of the track record that they have established. Now, you need to do your own research. This is not financial advice. I'm not going to say that this will double or triple the floor price or the mint price, but the fact that they've committed a track record shows you, can give you more confidence in moving into this project if you are looking at considering buying a Graycraft 2 to then get in on Graycraft 3. Now look, I'm heating myself up way too much when it comes down to this project, so I'm going to take the jacket off. So this project is one of these sleeper projects that you didn't know existed, and you needed to actually read between the lines to actually find this out. Big shout out to Marcus. He actually dropped me a DM back in sort of November going, hey, check out Graycraft. And I brushed it off initially. And then when I actually did a proper deep dive into it, you start to realize how well connected the team are, how well sort of connected their business ties are, which then feed into the NFT. And when it comes down to a project, a long-term project, a blue chip project, it needs to have an established track record, and it needs to have a brand that can be built out. What I hope happens with Graycraft is after Graycraft 3's launch, they build in some utility that comes down to their sort of existing business landscape, because if you can then incorporate that into it, it then just brings in more ties. The thing about Graycraft right now is that people, if you're watching this right now and you get to this current point in time, you are getting some high quality hot alpha, because everyone is looking for the next project that's hot, that's going to run up and make them that sort of 10 or 20x. But what happens is they ultimately bleed out. The fact that this has been running for months and months and the trend is up should show you that the team behind it know how to execute, know how to hold and maintain value. So the idea about this project is, I'm not saying you should jump in and just blindly invest, but you should seriously consider this project. You should put up the top of your research list. You should put this up the top of your asking questions list, because the community is still quite small and tight, which means that you can actually make headway and actually kind of reach out. If you were to jump into my DMs and be like, hey, I bought a Graycraft, instant connection, because I know that you know what this space is about. And that's where really good plays come into it, because it's not about investing, or it's not just about investing in what's hot, but it's also about picking up what some good foundations are when it comes down to a project. Now look, let's change up the colors one more time to get that green, to get that good psychology going. So I've changed the lights up to green because that's how I feel about this project. The fact that it has had this track record, it's got this team, and it's got this execution and roadmap and plan that they're willing to kind of run out. The promos are fire, the models are fire, and they've established this before. So when it comes down to this project right now, this may not be the type of video that you're looking for. This may not be the, hey, what's the next 100x? But for me, this project looks like a super safe bet, and anyone that I show this project to gets hyped on it and is really interested in it. So if you've gotten this far through the video, drop a GC2 down below. The idea isn't for me to just give you sort of advice for you to blindly follow. This is just giving you an insight that I have found and trends that I've seen when it comes down to the NFT space. So when it comes down to Graycraft, I'm super pumped on this project. I would seriously consider you jumping in, doing that research, and getting this on the top of your looking at list, because as they get closer to launch, there will be more and more hype built up. So if you found value in this video, please consider hitting that subscribe button. While you're down there, also hit up the like button. As always, it's been a pleasure having you with me. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.